It's about 6 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025, here in beautiful Northeast Texas on Lazy Cow Farms. And moving the cows to the second section of this row here. Moving to the first section in the morning, it's about 6 o'clock p.m. right now, 5:45 or so. So this section has lots of good shade. Hopefully it'll help the animals be a little more comfortable. Right now it's about 90 degrees, like 88, 89, 90, something like that. Tomorrow it's supposed to get up to like 98 or 99. So the heat's good for the grass to grow. It does put the animals under a little bit of stress. But 90-degree days are not going to be uncommon in the summer. So they are going to get used to it. And I'll try to keep them in shade when the temperatures do go over 90 as much as possible. And of course, make sure they have plenty of good water and fresh grass and everything like that. So it's a nice little area here. Grass is tall and thick. They didn't nearly eat all the grass, so but of course it's the first section, so they've been eating grass in the lane that goes back to the water. So they probably wouldn't eat all that grass in that section anyway, even if it was the right size. If it were the right size, I should say, use objective mood. There is a bit of a report about screwworm on imports from Mexico. President Trump banned all imports of cattle from Mexico because of the screwworm. So I did a little research on that, and it looks like the southern United States had screwworm problems up until about the 50s and 60s. And if you're wondering what that is, it's a type of fly that'll the maggots will penetrate the flesh, living healthy flesh, and lead to all sorts of problems. And animals are much more susceptible to that kind of infestation. I think the name of it is called myiasis or something like that. Basically fly disease is what it translates into. But yeah, the screwworm will actually attack healthy flesh and healthy animals. Often they enter through wounds. The other types of maggots, fly larvae that you might see, they typically only attack necrotic tissues that's dead or dying. And so the screwworm that we're worried about from Mexico is the bad kind. And I was learning about how they eliminate the screwworm population. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. What they do is they take male screwworm flies and they irradiate the flies so they become they can't reproduce. Basically, it kills their ability to reproduce, so they're sterile. And then they release them into the population. And because the flies tend to only mate once in their life, if they mate with a sterile male fly, then they lay eggs that aren't fertilized. And that's the method that we used in the 50s and 60s to basically eliminate the screwworm population in the United States. It was used in other parts of the world, including Mexico. The only issue is the Mexicans, they didn't go 100%. They only eradicated most of them. They didn't go all the way. And so they still have screwworm further south from the border. And President Trump was concerned because the screwworm population was moving north, closer to the U.S. border. And so banned the import of cattle from Mexico because of the risk of bringing screwworms back in the United States, Another interesting note about the screwworm population is that, according to the Wikipedia article at least, I didn't check sources, so I'm just all my information is just Wikipedia stuff. Was Blue trying to kick that sheep? Anyway, the eradication of the screwworm population, I think it infected Africa. And it was a little bit more difficult to eradicate because Africa is being Africa. And they don't have as strictest controls over livestock and things like that, and the wild animals as they do in the U.S. in the South. Anyway, so in Africa, they eradicated the screwworm population using the same technique of irradiated male flies. and it turned out to be the most efficient in terms of dollars spent, the most efficient use of money to eradicate, infestation of a parasite. So it's not that expensive to eliminate it. It just takes a little bit of discipline to see it through. And so anyway, that's screwworm. I don't think I'm going to see screwworm anytime soon on my farm. The vector of infection typically is like an open wound that isn't monitored and isn't checked. Now I'm here with the animals twice a day, so if one of them gets wounded, I should notice. Same for fly strike on the sheep. Sheep do get fly strike fairly easily, even without screwworms. And so I'm constantly looking at the animals, and I can tell when the animals start to get sick or under the weather. And if they have an infestation of a parasitic, like fly larva, aka maggots, I should be able to tell pretty quick. There's certain signs that are pretty obvious when they get infected. And the remedies, so the treatment for a maggot infestation is actually to go through and remove all of the maggots and basically clean the wound and make sure that there's no more fly larvae living inside the tissue. So that's basically what you do. Anyway, guys, I don't have much else to add. It's just an interesting note, something I researched and looked up on Wikipedia. And if you cite me as a source, please don't. Go to the Wikipedia article and look at the sources there. So I'm just repeating stuff that I read on the internet. So that's about how trustworthy it is. You guys have a great day. Take care, and bye-bye.